My brother has a girlfriend, you can call her. She is good to my brother, good to my parents, thinking they are a match made in heaven. Until that Christmas Eve, my brother brought her home to meet the family. She brought gifts one at a time, quickly filling up the entire living room. Mom was both happy and angry. Oh, Bok Ning Bang, you just came to visit. You still brought so many things, it's too wasteful. Bok Ning Bang lowered her eyes, then gave a gift that looked valuable. Andy, what is this gift? Merry Christmas. You are truly a child. Mom was both polite and touched, then exclaimed in surprise. This is so expensive. It turned out that she gave her mother a gift so valuable that it was worth a year's salary, a string of precious pearls. My brother received her signaling eyes, then stepped forward, put the pearl necklace on his mother, and said, Mom, just accept it. This is in Gung Bang's heart. Mom held the necklace that she wished for day and night, smiling sincerely. This necklace is so beautiful. Thank you, Bok Ning Bang. Smiling slightly, she continued, There is a bottle of fragrant wine at home. Do you have a glass? Mom immediately sent me to get things. Even though I pretended to watch the TV show, I was still secretly looking forward to Christmas gifts. Mom got the necklace, Dad got the cigarettes and alcohol, but the whole time he didn't mention me. Looks like it's my turn. Hearing my mother call me that, I hid my disappointment and replied with a disinterested expression, I'm going to the kitchen to get a glass. In the kitchen, my father quietly asked me, Why, Chung Gwen, do you look so unhappy? I forced a smile. No, I'm quite happy. Is it because Gung Bang didn't give me a gift? I'm a little angry. She came to visit you too, not to visit me. Why does she have to buy things for me? Isn't her money money? I don't know what I'm saying. I just feel frustrated inside. I only see you moody and lifeless, afraid you will feel abandoned. Dad originally wanted to comfort you, but that last sentence made you feel uncomfortable. Immediately, the child was abandoned, with few stars, because his older brother was better. Everything in the family gave priority to his older brother. The house has 3 bedrooms and a living room. My parents live in the main bedroom, my brother lives in the second bedroom, and I can only stay on the balcony. Just because my brother had a lot of books, he had to reserve a room for him as a reading room. It wasn't until he got a job and moved closer to the company that I was able to stay in that reading room. For half a year now, he hasn't been at home, so my life is much more comfortable. But as soon as he returned, their chatter immediately highlighted the child's success. But today is a good day. I don't want my heavy face to make everyone unhappy. Very comfortable. I finished washing the cup and went out. Dad saw that my face was a little better, and now he felt reassured and went to see the pot of soup and eat rice. On the table are all the dishes my brother and Bok Ning Bang like to eat. The dining table is rectangular, parents and 2 people sit facing each other. I quietly faced the wall, eating the fried eggs my dad hid at the bottom of the bowl for me. I finished my meal, picked up my bowl, and stood up. I'm full. After looking at it, I sent V to read a book. My mother and brother responded in part. Bok Ning Bang raised her head and looked at me. Dad was a little worried and said, Can you feel full after eating so little? Don't worry about studying. Mom interrupted him. There's so much food in the house, you can't be hungry. Don't worry too much. Then he said to me, The university entrance exam is coming, study hard. How good was your brother at studying back then? Focus a little, don't keep playing on your phone. I suppressed the urge to refute, finished washing the dishes, and returned to my room. At first he wanted to bang the door hard, but in the end he was weak and closed the door gently. Mom was still dancing outside. I leaned against the door, tears streaming down my face. Every day you criticize me for not being as good as my brother. Why did you even give birth to me in the first place? I lay on the bed, closed my eyes. I just didn't eat anything. Now I'm angry and hungry. I tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep at all. After arguing until after 11 o'clock, his brother wiped his hair and came in. Chung Gwen, let's sleep together tonight. I was already very sleepy at this point, mumbled, yeah, and rolled back inside. His brother slept, and Bok Ning Bang had to sleep in the next room. An outsider can sleep in the living room, but I can't. I fell asleep, carrying resentment towards the living room. For a long time, I felt my lips were soft. When I opened my eyes, a flash of lightning. I clearly saw the face of the person kissing me. Was it Bok Ning Bang? Can I dream of her? Lightning flashed and disappeared. The room became dark again. I still hadn't recovered from my surprise when Bok Ning Bang immediately lifted my head up. Different from the previous exploratory kiss, this kiss was stronger, firmer, and deeper. A strange, passionate feminine breath permeated every corner. I couldn't breathe. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of my brother next to me. He breathed evenly and slept very soundly. I stretched out my hand under pressure, listening for breathing, wanting to wake up my brother and also myself. Her hand was held midway by Bok Ningbing. She pressed my hand, her whole body pressed against me, and suddenly kicked her foot, wanting to escape this increasingly strange nightmare. But she held me tight. I can't wake up. After the dream ended, I curled up in the blanket, my back turned to my brother. It was still raining outside. His brother was still sleeping soundly, as if nothing had happened. But my body still had a clear aftertaste of pleasure, reminding me of what had just happened. The dream was so scary and bad. I was so disgusting. I couldn't look them in the eye anymore, because my heart was full of guilt. So, when morning came, I woke up and discovered my underwear was wet. I threw dirty clothes into the washing machine. While everyone was still awake, I secretly left the house and sat in the breakfast restaurant 2 streets away from home. After finishing breakfast, I went home. My brother and Bok Ning Bing were indeed gone. Only Dad is busy in the kitchen. Not seeing Bok Ning Bang, I breathed a sigh of relief. As the weekend approached, my father called me and asked, "Have your brother and Bok Ning Bang come home to eat tomorrow? Remember to come home." I originally planned to eat out with friends, but I could only say, "Okay, I know." Friday afternoon, Taham Matt and I went to eat hot pot. After that, everyone went their separate ways home. I waited for the elevator on the first floor. As soon as the elevator door opened, my brother and Bok Ning Bing were in there. I called out, "Brother," then went in and stood next to him. He greeted Bok Ning Bang on the other side again. "Hello, Ms. Ngung Bang," she said coldly. "Hi, Wild." My brother's voice was very calm. "Why did you and your friend come back from watching a movie outside so quickly?" I said. "The movie wasn't good. Taham Matt and I went out early. After that we just ate hot pot. I won't eat with everyone for a while." My brother said, "Yeah," and then the ventilator became quiet. Luckily I got home quickly. As soon as the two of them entered the door, their mother warmly welcomed them. Hearing that I had already eaten out, my mother was a little unhappy and said, "Is it okay to come home early? Eating out is really wasteful. If you don't eat, go back to your classroom. You're only ranked 10th in the class. Don't be arrogant." I entered the room, closed the door, and fell on the bed. At this time, my father was outside knocking on the door. "Tune Nguyen, dinner is finished. Come out and eat something." I sat up and headed out the door. "I'm full. I don't want to eat. Everyone eat." Dad had to say through the door, "Then I'll save a little for you. If you're sleepy, go sleep for a while. I'll go make dinner." After leaving, I immediately changed into my pajamas and crawled into bed. I don't know how long it's been. I heard the door open and footsteps getting closer. Suddenly, I felt cold. It seemed like the blanket had been lifted, and at the same time, my mother's voice rang in my ears. "Nguyen has been calling you for half a day. Why are you pretending anymore?" I immediately woke up and opened my eyes wide, sitting up so scared that my heart was pounding. Mom angrily stood next to the bed, actually turning over my blanket. The warmth from my body was gone because of the sudden awakening, so my head hurt so much. My temper flared. I yelled at her, "Mom, what's wrong? Why are you turning over my blanket?" Mom saw that I dared to argue even more aggressively, saying, "When did you sleep? When you told your friend to study, you pretended to sleep to avoid it. There was no self-awareness at all. If you worked half as hard as your brother, you wouldn't have such poor results." It's here again, comparing me to not being as good as my brother. I went crazy, jumped out of bed and yelled at her, "If you like your brother so much, why did you give birth to a useless child like me? You don't study well, you don't have any points, and you make me angry all day." Mom was still bewildered, looking at me like a monster. After a moment of shock, she swung her hand and slapped me. After the slap, she cried again. I pushed her away. Without looking back, I rushed out. As I ran to the living room, I bumped into someone else. "Nothing, he hasn't left yet." When I bumped into him, he screamed and fell to the ground. Bok Ning Bing went to help him. "She hasn't left yet." I stood still, suddenly feeling extremely confused. I thought my brother and she were gone, and my mother would scold me mercilessly. But now I cry violently, uncontrollably. The image of my face full of tears was seen by all of them. How could mother be like that? Why make me look bad in front of them because of the content of the argument related to my brother? After being helped up, he didn't blame me for being clumsy, just looked at me with awkward eyes. Comforting others is not his strong point. He doesn't know what to say at this moment. Mom heard the noise and went out of the room and saw this situation. Knowing that I had bumped into my brother, my mother quickly stepped forward to see if my brother was injured, then turned around and scolded me. Fuang Nguyen, why are you angry with your brother? What did he do to you? Hurry up, apologize to your brother. The older brother was a little embarrassed and gently pulled his mother. Mom, I'm okay. Don't say Tung Nguyen anymore. Don't worry about him. It's all because your father pampered him, without any upbringing. Today I will definitely make him admit his mistake. My mother protected her brother like a mother hen, looking at me like an enemy. Looking at the deep motherly love between the two of them, I was too lazy to say a word, sniffed my nose, wiped my tears, and rushed out of the house. I don't want her to be my mother anymore. The elevator is stuck on the 3rd floor and won't move. My mother's scolding continuously came, saying I didn't know how to move forward, that I was lazy and greedy to argue with my parents. I was like crazy, pressing the elevator button several times with no response. At this time, Bok Ning Bang ran out of the house and grabbed my wrist tightly. Tung Nguyen. My little leg strongly pushed her hand away. Go away, don't care about me. She was afraid I would get hurt, so she let go of my hand. I calmed down a bit. Bok Ning Bang didn't do anything. I can't be mad at her. I turned away, not wanting her to see my pain. But when she opened her mouth, she couldn't stop. I went to Taham Mat's house, not to wander around. I'll tell Dad. Before I finished my sentence, a warm coat covered me. At this point, I felt cold. Weather year S degrees. I was only wearing thin pajamas, bare feet, and slippers. From head to toe, he was cold. Only his face was burning because he had just been beaten. I suddenly felt particularly angry, grabbed her shirt, squatted on the ground, and burst into tears. The elevator finally arrived. Bok Ning Bang said he would take me to my brother's house. Quietly following her, after getting in the car, Bok Ning Bang called his brother, saying he wanted to take me back to where he lived. My brother took my things with him when he left. She started the car. After hanging up the phone, I sat in the passenger seat and turned to look out the window. The reason for arguing with his mother this time was because his older brother pushed him down before leaving home. Now that his girlfriend led him to his house, he felt very bland. I wonder if my brother and Bok Ning Bing hate me. The headache caused by waking up has not passed yet. A moment later, I got motion sick, my stomach kept churning, and finally, I couldn't hold back and covered my mouth and vomited loudly. Bok Ning Bang immediately stopped the car on the side of the road and turned to look at me. I nodded and said weakly, a little motion sick. She reached out to touch me and then unfastened her seat belt. You have a fever. Can you buy medicine? I was afraid to bother her further. It's okay. Just sleep and you'll be fine. The sound of a door closing loudly was my answer. I watched her walk towards the nearby pharmacy. Tears that I had difficulty holding back welled up. Bok Ning Bing, an outsider I haven't met many times, still cares about me like that. My biological mother arbitrarily degraded me in front of everyone. Why did you say I pretended to sleep? If you are dissatisfied, can't you say it quietly? Why did he have to scold me in front of his brother and Bok Ning Bing, making me feel awkward? I'm not as good as my brother, but not to the point where she said there's nothing good about me. Also, every time we argue, she cries first, acting as if I had bullied her. Really, I've had enough. A while later, Bok Ning Bang returned with medicine and water. She pushed the medicine packet out and gave it to me, then gave me hot water. Thank you, Ms. Ngung Bang. I wrapped my coat and placed my forehead against the cold car window. The medicine started to take effect. I started to feel sleepy, but couldn't sleep in the car. I had to try to stay awake. More than 10 minutes later, I arrived at my brother's house. My brother lives in a single apartment in the city. I've only been here once. This time when I entered the door, I noticed that the place was almost the same as half a year ago, only with a few more women's items. Surely Ning Bang often comes here. Bok Ning Bang told me to go to my brother's room to rest. I'm so tired, I can't stand it, and I don't want to stay with her for long. I said sorry, and then went to lie down on the bed. Sleeping in a dream, I felt the medicine on my body making me unbearably tired. Suddenly confused, I tried to open my eyes. I saw a pair of dark eyes in the darkness of the room, staring at me like two black holes floating in the air. Again, it's the phenomenon of sleep paralysis. This time is really too scary. I wanted to wake up, but I couldn't move or scream. I can only look at those eyes closer. Suddenly my eyes turned dark. I couldn't resist the urge to sleep and completely fell asleep. This sleep was very deep. When I woke up, the room was pitch black. I fumbled to turn on the light, glanced at the wall clock. It was already past 8 o'clock. Oh no, I'll be late for my evening self-study session. My coat and shoes were hanging on the rack next to the bed, probably when my brother came in and hung them up while I was sleeping. I took down my shirt and quickly put it on. But halfway through wearing it, I sat down and didn't want to move anymore. At this hour, even if I ran over from my brother's house, I would only have time for one evening self-study period. Teachers always say we need to take advantage of every minute and every second. Taking a few more points can extend the distance. But I felt both bothered and tired, and didn't want to go to school anymore. Today, let's let the thousands and tens of thousands of candidates temporarily get ahead. Tomorrow I will try to catch up. I went out to the living room and discovered that there was only I was alone. My brother's shoes and Bok Ning Bing were not at the door. Where have they gone? I took out my phone and saw that my brother had texted me asking for sick leave for me and the teacher, and also said that the company would be busy working overtime until very late. If you want to eat, you can order food from outside. Remember to take medicine after eating and send a Lucky Money envelope, probably to pay for ordering food out. I hadn't opened the Lucky Money envelope yet, so I sent my brother a text message. I know. Having slept for half a day, I was hungry, so I went to the kitchen to find food. At the same time, replied to messages asking about Taham Matt and his classmates. Dad also sent a text message, not blaming me, just saying that Mom cried for a long time and told me to rest well at home. His brother also sent a red envelope with a note. Tune Nguyen must be happy. I felt a sting in my nose and replied, "Thank you, Dad." Dad immediately called, and as soon as he connected, he asked, "Brother, you said you still have a fever. Do you feel better now? Have you eaten anything? Do you have any medicine?" The child said, "It's much better. No need to worry. Dad, I will go directly to school tomorrow. I won't be home until next week." Dad said, "That's good. Kyungwin, your brother told me today's story. Your mother also did something wrong. I took over. I'm sorry. Please don't be angry anymore." "Yes, it's okay, Dad. Once you receive the lucky money, you can buy whatever you want." Hang up the phone. I accept my dad's lucky money. At first, I wanted to find something in the kitchen to save some money, but my brother's house didn't have a single grain of rice. You can only order food outside. Waiting while doing homework. Even though my results are normal, I can't let others easily surpass me. Taking university exams is such a hardship, always worrying. Even if you are sick, you don't dare to ignore it. On the table there is medicine Bok Ning Bang Bot. I read the instructions for use. Most of them have side effects that cause drowsiness. No wonder I fell asleep so quickly, slept like death, and still had nightmares. I don't dare eat anymore. I still have to go to school tomorrow, but I'm tired and sleepy, so I can't study. I ordered 2 boxes of fever-reducing medicine that doesn't cause drowsiness. After eating, taking medicine, and taking a hot bath, you can sleep well. I don't even know when my brother will return. The next day, my brother called me up. I even thought I fell asleep. As a result, I looked at the clock and saw that he woke up earlier than my alarm clock. Early in the morning, he looked very small. There were still light dark circles under his eyes. Seeing my brother so tired, I really feel sorry for him. "What time did you come home yesterday? Did you sleep well?" "I only slept for 3 or 4 hours. Lately I've had to work overtime on a project. Once I'm done, I can rest. Go wash your face. I'll take you downstairs to buy breakfast later. You can take a taxi to school by yourself. I won't take you anymore. His time is precious. I don't dare to waste it." Quickly changing clothes and washing my face. When I left the house, I discovered that the boxes of fever-reducing medicine on the table had disappeared. Those boxes were all bought by Bok Ning Bang. The ones I bought myself are still in my bag. Could it be that my brother has already cleaned up? Lunar New Year is over. Just endure a little longer, and it's time for winter break. Although assignments and exams are continuous, the atmosphere in class is clearly much more comfortable than before. And at dinner that night, Everyone started discussing this year's winter vacation plans. Most of them have to go to extra school, some have to go back to their hometown with their parents to visit relatives, and some will go on vacation. According to Taham Matt, this year her family will go to the U.S. to visit Ta Van Thursday's brother, who just bought a house in Washington. Ms. Van Thursday is the idol of our generation. 5 classes older than my brother, he was a super scholar. When he was in college, he received a full scholarship to go to America to study medicine. During my bachelor's, master's, and doctoral studies, I never returned home. Graduated early with straight A results, currently working at a very famous private hospital. This year, finally bought a house in Washington. Taha asked if I wanted to go with him, saying that Ta's parents had taken care of the plane tickets and accommodation. I don't need to worry, I just need a visa and passport. These words made me hungry, and my eyes lit up. America? Well, it doesn't cost money. It would be stupid not to go. But with my family's situation, my mother probably won't agree. She originally didn't like me playing with Taham Matt. Not to mention going abroad with them, but in case I had a fragile hope and told it to my dad, asking if he could help me get a U.S. passport and visa. In less than a minute, my mother called and scolded me. Taham Matt is in the top 3 of his class. It's not a problem to get into a prestigious university. What about you? You got that score and still want to go out? Do you know how much it costs to go abroad? Tickets and accommodation are free. What about passports and visas that you don't need to spend? People are going to the U.S. as a whole family to reunite. So why are you barging in? People saying they want you to go with them aren't necessarily true. Heart, maybe just be polite. Can't you be a little wiser? Don't interfere with anything during TED. We still have to meet Bok Ningbang's family. Your brother always protects you. Being pushed down hurts you. You let him go out instead of showing up. This is a big deal for your brother. What will people think about our family then? Before she finished speaking, I hung up. Then I forced myself to smile at Taham Matt, sitting opposite. I can't go for TED. We have to meet my brother's girlfriend's family. We can't be absent. Taham Matt couldn't hear what my mother said clearly, but how could he know? She looked at me with sympathetic eyes. If not, let my mother talk to your parents. Mr. Ham is engaged, not you. It's okay if you don't go. If I don't go, they will capture me again. Thank you, Taham Matt. Forget it. Plane tickets during TET are so expensive. It's not easy for your family to make money. When I have money later, let's go out together. Go wherever you want. Then no one can control you. Taham sighed. Just relax. Wait until I get home, and I'll bring you a gift. The girls heard that she was going abroad and immediately came. At this time, they jostled each other. Thank you, Matt. I want it too. I also want it. I can't be so biased. That's right. Whatever Fuang Nguyen has, we must have. From sitting next to him, picking up food, wanting to open his mouth felt shy. I saw that she looked awkward, so I took the initiative to speak for her. And Bok Ningbang also didn't think about it. Okay, Taham Matt. Okay, Bok Ningbang is slightly embarrassed. The dining table is filled with joy. I bowed my head and played with that plate of rice. Want to go to America with Ta's family. Even though I couldn't go to America, my mother still scolded me constantly. This Saturday night, as soon as I got home, my mother stopped me at the door. She recounted my mistakes over the past week. Dad spoke loudly to me in front of outsiders. Pushed the injured brother to stay at his brother's house. Causing trouble for you and Bok Ningbang. Still dreaming of going abroad with Ta's family. In addition, this week's exam ranking decreased by 1 level. Writing the wrong topic in an essay is unforgivable. Towards the end, she declared, canceled all my outings and pocket money. Winter break other than TED. Visiting relatives, having to stay home to do homework every day. Dad wanted to give advice, but was scolded. Don't be a good person forever. He won't remember for long. You have to be constantly reminded to work hard. The college entrance exam is a lifelong thing. If you don't worry now, when will you worry? If you don't get into a good university, you won't be able to find a good job in the future. At that time, don't talk about keeping him. He'll have to go back to being a parasite. Her scolding was always those words. But no matter how many times I listen, I still don't get used to it. I stood there, my eyes red, seeing that she became even angrier. Cry. I can only cry. With such free time, I'd rather do 2 more exercises. After speaking, she turned her back to the room, leaving behind the words, seeing you is bothering me. After she left, my father felt guilty and heartbroken and patted my shoulder. Gwyn. Dad, don't say anything anymore. I avoided his hand and went into my room. I have to go do my homework, it's late. Stop doing your homework. Let Dad cook you something to eat. I closed the door. In the end, I was alone, spreading out the documents, writing and shedding tears. Still trying not to cry out loud. Why must my mother treat me like a criminal? Isn't she at fault at all? Why wasn't I born into the Ta family? Can the Ta family adopt me? The more I thought about it, the sadder it became. Finally, I cried so much that I lay face down on the table and fell asleep. The next day when I woke up, I found myself lying still under the blanket. My coat was taken off and hung on the back of the chair, and my pen was covered. Dad must have passed here. It's now past 7 a.m., and there's the sound of cooking coming from the kitchen. I opened the door and saw my dad cooking breakfast. He saw me and quickly asked, Gwyn, did you sleep well last night? Dad makes you steamed eggs. Go brush your teeth first. Even if he couldn't resist his mother, at least he endured it with me. We consider each other as comrades in the same war. The sound of accepting the small bribe made him remember that he had gone to bed without showering last night. When I went looking for a change of clothes, I discovered that the second day after Christmas, my change of underwear was nowhere to be found. It's the brand I like the most. I waited until November 11th to go on sale before I dared to buy one. After I bought it, I didn't dare tell my mother. I clearly remember putting it in the washing machine, but I haven't seen it at home or school in the past 2 weeks. Could it have been blown away by the wind? Why did I only wear it twice, but I was afraid to ask my dad, and I also didn't dare ask my mom. I'm sorry, but I can only suppress my heart and buy it back. By the time I finished showering, my mother had just woken up to have breakfast. She was startled when she saw an egg on the table. We were so scared that we didn't dare breathe loudly. Luckily, he just frowned and said nothing. Dad thought he said too much last night. This time he gave me a little sweetness. I tremblingly pulled the bowl of steamed eggs in front of me, eating while silently criticizing. This life is truly life-sapping. How did Dad come to like a tigress in the first place? I plan to try my best to improve in the upcoming exam. That way at home you have at least a little power. Unfortunately, I did very poorly in the next weeks and final exams. Not only did I fall out of first place, but I went straight downhill. This time it was miserable. This winter break, I am definitely living without any honor. The day Matt's family went abroad was scheduled to be right after vacation on the cheapest day for air tickets. My mother didn't let me go out and kept me at home doing homework and writing every day. Even seeing off Ta's family was not allowed. On the afternoon of the day Ta's family went to the airport, I stood by the window and sent a text message to Matt. I texted them to wish them a safe journey. They originally planned to take a taxi to leave from Namco near home, without having to go through my house. But not long after sending the message, the whole family dragged their suitcases downstairs. I waved towards my room's window, quickly opened the window, and peeked out to wave at them. The cold wind blew into my collar and sleeves, but I didn't feel cold because I was afraid of waking my mother. We didn't make any sound, just waved at each other. Ta's mother signaled me to go back in, saying that sticking out like that was very dangerous. Seeing me retreat, they felt secure and pulled their suitcases to leave. Waiting for them to get in the car, I was still standing by the window, feeling very sad. Now, even if I bear the pain at home, I have nowhere to hide anymore. They go abroad without bringing anything with them. I really want to take care of it, but my mother hates animals and is allergic to dog hair. They sent the fish back to their friend's house. Returning to my desk, looking at the homework piled high like a mountain, I suddenly wanted to tear it all up. But I just thought that, if Matt is not here, who will help me make free photocopies and help me copy my homework? So we can't tear it. We have to keep working. I was like a homework machine, daydreaming until New Year's Eve. Looking at that pile of paperwork every day makes me bored. On New Year's Eve, my brother came home. He was busy at the company until 6 o'clock. When he returned, there were fireworks outside. Mom was happy as soon as she saw him and asked, "Why didn't Bok Ning Bang come?" His brother said, "She's coming to my house to have a New Year's Eve meal. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, we will go to Kim Tsung Hotel to meet for morning tea and porridge. This is the gift she brought for everyone." Mom's voice is very cheerful and polite. The lat is really cold. The Khmer wool scarf is also an Australian product, given to me. Oh my God, it's expensive to make her. My brother asked, "Where is Gwyn?" Mom said, "Studying in my room." His brother couldn't help it. Mom, I'm not in such a hurry to study. It's almost Tet, let him rest a bit. Dad also contributed. That's right. Whenever Nguyen takes a break, his mother locks him in his room, not even being allowed to come out. Taham Mat goes abroad, and he doesn't get to see him off. He doesn't say anything with his mouth, but in his heart, he doesn't know how sad he is. It's fine because it's not self-directed, but you still blame me for being too strict? I just want the best for it. If it's a child from another family, will I still be in charge? Dad called me to go call him, telling me to go eat cake and watch Galtez. Hearing these words, I was as happy as if I had received a general amnesty, but I still quickly pretended to study hard. Dad went to knock on the door. Mom gave me permission to go out. Your brother is home. At that moment, I just put down my pen and said that's okay. When I went out, my mother was standing in front of the mirror looking at her new Quang scarf. I bowed my head and obediently called out, Mom. She said to me in a tone like she was giving me grace, Bok Ning Bang also bought you a gift. Go see it. I walked up to my brother and said, Brother, you're home. Then I received the gift box he gave me. The gift box was square, not very large, covered with gift paper and looked unremarkable. But when I opened it, I saw a jade bracelet inside. Mom always watched me take off gifts in the mirror. What's going on? Why is his gift a bracelet? Did you mistake my gift for his? The moment I saw the bracelet, I thought I sent it by mistake. I'm a guy. How can I wear something like that? Ancient emerald necklace. But hearing my mother say that, I immediately put the bracelet on, held it up, and said to my brother, Look, it's not too big or too small. It fits. Mom sat next to me. My brother took off the Khmer scarf around his neck and urged my brother to ask, Is it the wrong place? The brother certainly doesn't know. What did Bok Ning Bing buy for us? Because at this moment he was a bit confused. That's right. She said the big box is yours. The small box is Chun Wen's. I glanced at the Quang towel box and saw my mother about to say something, but stopped. Secretly happy inside. She certainly had her eye on the emerald necklace. Surely she saw it. Even though I don't like emeralds, I definitely won't give them to her. Before my mother could speak, I jumped up and went to the kitchen. Dad, look, Ms. Ngung Bang bought me a beautiful bracelet. Dad brought the plate of dumplings that had just come out of the pot to the table. Dad took my hand and looked at it. Oh, this color is so beautiful. It's round and transparent. It must have cost a lot of money. Then said to him, My brother, Tu Han, tell Bok Ning Bing not to buy such expensive things in the future. Last time I bought cigarettes, wine and pearls for my parents. This time I bought jade for Chung Gwen. You both work very hard. You have to save money to make money. Don't spend it like that. Honestly, you two still don't have a new house, right? I will definitely take care of this deposit. I must accept it at that time. My brother said, No need, Dad, just leave your money for Chung Gwen. We make enough money, so we don't need to worry. Maybe last Christmas she didn't give Chung Gwen a gift, so she felt uncomfortable. This time, on the occasion of the new year, give compensation. Then he said to me, I was only worried about buying Tet things for my family and forgot to buy you a gift. Tomorrow I'll send you a lucky money envelope. He felt so embarrassed. He kept showing off this bracelet as if he was intentionally criticizing. Look at him. Your girlfriend even knows how to buy things for me, and your biological brother doesn't care about me at all. But I don't think he meant it that way. Just as she was about to say that there was no need to give her, her mother immediately stood up. You're still a child. What kind of lucky money are you giving? Tomorrow when you meet Bok Ning Bang's family, you might have to give your younger brother some lucky money. I'm fine. He gave it to me. 1, 2 with some plans. She only has love for her brother. I didn't want to listen anymore, so I went into the kitchen to help serve the food. When I put down my chopsticks, I forgot I was still wearing my bracelet. The hand lightly tapped the glass table, making a crisp sound. I was startled and surprised, quickly raised my hand to see. The ring, fortunately, is still intact. It would be a pity if it broke. I was just about to take off the bracelet when my mother shouted, What are you bragging about by taking it off? You've finished eating and you're still wearing it? After eating, you're still wearing it. You don't know how heavy it is all day long. If it doesn't break, then you can rest assured. In my mother's eyes, I couldn't see anything good. Dad couldn't help but say, Okay, if you like it, just let it wear, it won't break. Don't talk too much in the new year or bother your children. Mom scolded me a few times to calm me down, then huffed, and said nothing. My brother patted my shoulder, sat down next to me, and whispered, "Little leg." I just said it quickly, "Don't take it to heart." I lowered my head to look at that sparkling bracelet. There was a moment when I really wanted to wear it and jump off the balcony. In the end, I didn't dare, so I got discouraged and took it off and put it in my pocket. While the Shin Van show started with a big dance scene, I picked up my chopsticks. Having my mother talk to me like that made this year-end dinner very unpleasant. Luckily, when watching the show Shin Van, I saw Ta Hammat. The photos that Hammat sent from the US were mostly landscapes on American streets, crowded streets with lots of traffic. There were also photos of Ms. Van Thursday's new house and photos of Ta's family. After Ms. Van Thursday studied abroad, I never saw her again. My impression of her is of someone who doesn't stand out too much, a gentle and shy girl. Now, the girl in the photo has indeed changed a lot, becoming more mature, more beautiful like a lady coming from a rich family. Next to her is Ta Hammat, smiling stupidly, making a V sign, making her look like the landlord's stupid daughter. My brother also saw it. After Ms. Van Thursday left for America, I never saw her again. I almost don't recognize her anymore. I immediately turned over each photo to show my brother. My voice couldn't help but carry pride. See how beautiful Ms. Van Thursday is now? She became a doctor at a private hospital. She even bought a house this year. My brother nodded. Miss Van Thursday is truly our example. Her efforts are worthy of her achievements. When I saw a photo of the Ta family together, my brother asked, "Did you and your aunt also go to America this year?" I was immediately disappointed. Yes. Speaking of this, I'm very sorry. Initially, they also said they would take me there as long as I had a passport and visa. But my brother continued asking, "Can I ask?" "What a pity," I replied. "I've never been to America. If you go, you can see a different cultural environment and expand your horizons." My mother immediately interjected. "Ta's family is just being polite to him. Going back and forth costs thousands of dollars. Who would spend money in vain on one person? He's just naively thinking it's true." My brother also thought that the Ta family could not spend so much money on me. Mom turned to ask my brother, after getting married, "Where are you planning to go for your honeymoon with Bok Ning Bang?" My brother was a little embarrassed and said, "You can go to Phuket Island." Mom waved her hand, looking dissatisfied. "That place isn't very safe. You two should go to America and take a luxurious trip. Thinking about how you've only focused on studying these past few years, I feel sad that you haven't been able to travel. Thinking about it again, it's really a disadvantage for the child. You two feel free to go out, I will sponsor it. Your father will also contribute money," Mom said. Dad also nodded. "Yes, you two can go wherever you want. No need to worry about money." My brother over there kept thanking me, and I'm here feeling old and my heart is full of bitter feelings. Why didn't I have any money when I got my passport and visa? My brother's honeymoon was sponsored, and he could go anywhere. Mom even told them to go to America. Isn't this intentionally trying to annoy me? I'm angry inside, but I still want to see how they admit it. I stood up and said, "I'm sleepy. I'm going back to bed." Mom didn't bother to raise her eyes. "Go to sleep. No one will ask you." I pursed my lips and walked into the room. "Very good. You don't allow me to go abroad. I have to make you uncomfortable once. Tomorrow I will definitely not go anywhere. Even if I get beaten, I will definitely not go." Dad saw that the situation was not good, so he ran after Kyung Gwen. "Kyung Gwen." He followed me into the room, lowered his voice, and said softly, "Kyung Gwen, your mother is a tough person, speaking without respect for anyone. I know your heart is filled with sadness. It's almost Tet. Look at your father and brother's share. Don't be so picky with your mother." "But mother," for a moment. Hearing these words, I pushed and pulled him out. The heavy thud closed. All day long, I've been telling my mother that I'm not good at it, forcing me to give in to her. Does a good temperament deserve to be bullied by someone with a bad temperament? I won't let that happen. Early the next morning, the whole family started busy preparing for my brother's big event. Mom criticized Dad's dressing style for not being good, instructed him to wear that outfit with that tie, making him spin around. Actually, I woke up a long time ago, but I still lay in bed and didn't get up. My brother came knocking on the door. My father also came knocking on the door. I didn't care. The two had to retreat and failed. I thought that next would be my mother, the warrior of the family, on the field. There will be a fierce collision. Unexpectedly, she gently said a sentence from outside the door. If he doesn't come out, don't take him with you. How can you compare with your brother, just jealous of Gwen? Well, I'm determined to ruin his entire life's happiness. I also exploded, crying, screaming, and raising my hands in protest. I'm not jealous of brother, I just hate you. You don't care about me at all, only oppressing and degrading me. You don't feel my injustice at all. I'm just lying. I just want to defame your good daughter-in-law. I want you to remember what I said today when you see her. I want to plant a thorn in your hearts that cannot be removed forever. My mother and I kept arguing. My father stepped forward to intervene. My brother coldly stood to the side and observed. During the argument, I pulled on my mother's necklace. She realized, quickly covered her neck and retreated. But it was too late. I was full of injustice and hatred. With one tug, the necklace tore. Pearls fell in midair. The gems clattered to the floor, bounced, and scattered in all directions. In her mother's hand, she only had a few pearls and a broken necklace. She bent down to look at the pearls scattered all over the floor, then looked at the remaining pearls and the broken necklace in her hand. Then he slowly raised his head and looked at me with eyes that seemed to want to tear me into dust, looking at me to the point that I used myself. Dad saw me breaking Mom's favorite necklace and was also shocked. It took a while to regain consciousness. Just as he was about to open his mouth, his mother took the remaining pearls and the broken necklace and threw them to the ground. Taking a breath, word by word, she said to her father, "You don't need to go today. I'll go with Ham myself. From now on, I'll pretend I don't have this son." There was a loud bang, and the door was slammed shut. Mother and brother have left. Outside, the sound of fireworks rang out near and far. The family became even more silent as death. My mother beat me to the point that I sat on the floor, sobbing. Dad pulled me up and wiped the tears from my face. His father's voice sounded dreamy. "Gwen, tell me, did Bang really bully you?" "I don't know." Tears wipe and fall again. I choked up, shaking my head. At this moment, my mind was filled with my mother's scolding words. My mother scolded me for being cruel and shameless. Mom said I wasn't as good as my brother, said I was jealous of him, that she didn't need me anymore. Dad took me back to my room. Dad didn't scold me, he just smoothed my hair. Dad left the sentence, "Please calm down first," then closed the door. After that, Dad called Mom outside. Because the voice was very low, I couldn't hear it clearly. I only vaguely heard a few sentences. "You have to ask clearly, you can't just leave it like that. I believe Gwen, before everything is clarified, I will not agree to this marriage." After hanging up the phone, he started cleaning up the pearls that fell on the floor, then continued to be busy in the kitchen. Not long after, he came knocking on my door. The voice was still as usual. "Gwen, let's eat. Dad has cooked sweet soup with milk for you." Hearing what he said, my heart hurt even more. Obviously, I have such a good father. Why do I always pay more attention to my mother's attitude towards me? If Mom favors her brother, let her be biased. If it weren't for my greed and demanding too much, this wouldn't have happened. I went out. Dad used a hot towel to wipe my face, then led me to the dining table and put the spoon in my hand. "Eat, son." I looked at the bowl of sloppy tea and boiled eggs, tears falling from my eyes. Dad sat next to me, wiping my tears. His tone was not rude. "Don't cry anymore. Eat some dumplings first." I tried to hold back my tears and asked, "Don't you blame me?" Dad sighed. "Mom and Dad will definitely get to the bottom of it. If you only say it to make your mom angry, you have to go and apologize to your brother and Bing." I took the spoon and ate the poached egg. Dad saw me eating in a hurry and said, "Eat slowly. No one will spare you." I was dumbfounded and put down my spoon. That's right, Mom is not at home. Dad's expression clearly stiffened for a moment, and then he bowed his head to eat his bowl of floating cake. I saw him sniffing his nose and asked, "Dad, are you crying?" Dad raised his head, red eyes looked at me, and smiled. "The cake is too hot." I said, "Then you blow, then eat." After finishing eating Bon Troy, I proactively washed the dishes and left the kitchen. My father shook the envelope in his hand at me. "On the first day of Tet, have you forgotten something?" Even though I wasn't in the mood at all, I still tried to be cheerful to wish my dad a happy new year. Dad gave me the envelope, then invited me to watch the rerun of the spring program together. I sat next to it. Dad opened the envelope and saw that it was double every year. This year, my mother will definitely not give me an envelope. It's good that Mom didn't beat me to death. Dad gave me all of Mom's. I put the envelope in my nightgown pocket and accidentally touched that jade bracelet. Luckily, the bag was very deep. Just now my mother pulled me hard without hitting it. I took out the bracelet and gave it to my dad. This is it. Dad nodded and gave me a bag of honey walnuts. Yesterday after you fell asleep, there were some quite interesting skits, especially How-Ken skits. I took my bag and leaned on his shoulder, eating and watching the singing and dancing show. Bok Ning Bing, whether I have to ask questions or apologize, as long as my father is by my side, I'm not afraid anymore. The waiting time was very long. Finally, Dad's phone rang. I see the incoming call number is displayed as an unknown number. Dad answered the phone. Bok Ning Bang's voice came from the phone. Hello, Uncle. Dad was clearly a bit nervous, but looking at me, he was even more nervous. Dad regained his composure and said, It's me. Her mother Hammat must have told you. So what is your answer? Bok Ning Bang did not answer directly. I want to meet once. I want Tune Nguyen to meet. Of course you can. I immediately shook my head. I don't have the courage to confront her directly. From the first time I met her, I was a little scared. Dad said, For now, it's better if you guys don't meet each other. If it's not convenient to talk on the phone, let's meet outside. I want to hear what you have to explain about this. Bok Ning Bing said, It's not convenient. I can answer right now. I know absolutely nothing about this. Forgive me to speak frankly, Uncle, instead of doubting me, not much. Tune Nguyen's attitude. I heard that recently he has had a lot of academic pressure and his relationship with everything is not good. If he needs psychological counseling, I can recommend a specialist. This sentence cleverly implies that I have psychological problems. Dad, after being reminded by her, thought of this possibility. Unable to help himself, he stammered. His condition is not good, but it's not bad enough to say such things. Bok Ning Bang's voice was still calm. Whether you want advice or report to the police, I will coordinate. She paused for a moment, then continued. Phuong Han and I have canceled our engagement. Dad was surprised. Taken? Wait until you completely clear your doubts about me, then put this on the agenda. Wishing you and Tune Nguyen a happy new year. Having finished speaking, Bok Ning Bang immediately hung up the phone. Dad held the disconnected phone and looked at me confused. I know he's scared. For more than 20 years, he has been subdued under his mother's power. Even though it was in order to protect me, it emerged at one point, but now it's ruined my brother's engagement. Thinking about his mother's return later and that angry look on her face, he would definitely be scared to death. When the two of us were suffering and confused, not knowing what to do, the sound of the door opening came from outside the door. Mom returned alone. Apparently, she knew the engagement was canceled. Entering the door, she didn't bother to look at us, went straight to the bedroom, and started packing her things. Dad quickly came in and asked, Where is Chu Ham? Mother said coldly, Cold. Go away. Dad was a little embarrassed and asked uneasily, What are you doing packing? Mom said, I feel disgusted when I see you too. Mom packed up her things, pulled her suitcase out, walked past the living room without even looking at me once, walking straight. I sat on the sofa, my hands and feet were cold. Dad came out to comfort me. Your mother is in a bad mood. It's okay to come stay with your brother for a few days. I can still take care of your brother. I really just used one sentence to sabotage my brother's engagement, and Bok Ning Bing hurt my mother as she wished. But I couldn't be happy. I just felt lost and had no place to live. Dad hesitated a bit, sat next to me, and used a negotiating tone to say to me, Wait a few days until the hospital opens. Can I take you to see a psychologist? I can say it. Thinking about what I did today, it's really not like what normal people can do. Maybe I really have gone crazy. Mom really didn't come back. Dad called Mom, saying that if the family didn't visit relatives together during Tet, people would talk about it, but Mom didn't care at all. So on the third day, my father could only take me to visit relatives. There are only 2 relatives on my father's side, an uncle and an aunt. There is no one on my mother's side. Uncle and aunt live on the outskirts of the city. The house is not poor, but very stingy. Every Tet holiday, only we give them gifts. Not only did they never invite us to dinner, the gifts in return were also not as good as the gifts we gave them before. Mom didn't like visiting these 2 relatives, but Dad said he lost his parents early when he was young, but luckily his uncle and aunt pulled him up. Otherwise, he would have starved to death a long time ago. My mother didn't pay any attention to that. They divided your parents' house and land without leaving you anything. Isn't it natural to nurture you? Go to your uncle's house first, and then go to your aunt's house. My father gave 5 or 6 portions of lucky money, but they only returned 2 portions. They still use the old excuse. If your eldest brother doesn't come to wish you a happy new year, we won't give it to you. Before, I would be angry about this. Why don't you get lucky money if your brother doesn't come? After that, my father advised me. Ted is only once a year. It's only a few hundred dong. Don't bother. This time, I'm not in the mood to be angry because I've already received the lucky money. I was too lazy to open it, so I just put it in my pocket. After returning home, I saw that my father had many thoughts. I asked, "Dad, what's wrong?" Dad smiled. "Nothing, don't worry." I remember when I went to celebrate New Year, the adults of these 2 red families avoided me. They talked quietly with their father for a while. At first I thought they were advising my mother to return, but looking at her expression, it was different. I immediately asked, "What did Uncle and Aunt tell Dad?" Love tea, it's nothing." Did they have to borrow money from Dad? My father was stunned. Did you hear that? I guess. My father really couldn't hide his feelings because his son had guessed it. Dad doesn't hide it anymore. It's really like this. Your cousin is getting married this year, but the bride's family insists that they must have a house and a car to get married. The deposit has already been paid for the house, but the car purchase is still 5,600,000 short. Your older cousin is getting remarried this year. She plans to give her more dowry so that when she returns to her husband's family, she won't be looked down upon. It's just that I'm struggling right now. I said unhappily. If you don't have money, don't get married again. It was so difficult for the uncle to buy a car and a house for his son. Will the other 2 cousins also ask us to borrow money at that time? When her older cousin got married last year, she said she didn't have any money for a dowry. I hid it from my mother, gave it to her, and gave her a big red envelope which made her mad. My family also needs money, but the house loan hasn't been paid off yet. This year he also needs it. Having said this, I closed my mouth. Your engagement party this year was ruined by me. My dad sighed when I talked to him. I know. But after all, they are my father's biological siblings, as well as my biological nephews and nieces. I was not convinced and said, "So you and I are not your biological children? If you have a lot of money, please buy me an Apple computer." Dad smiled wryly. "Do you want an Apple computer? Can I buy it after you go to college? Let's not talk about this anymore. What do you want for lunch?" I continue to feel disgruntled. You see, they don't even have the heart to invite us to a meal. How dare they open their mouth to borrow money from you? Dad gently patted the back of my head. Okay, don't keep arguing. They're worried about money. How can they care about us? Let's eat lamb hot pot. I followed my father into the kitchen to help him peel onions and chop garlic. While I was busy, I worriedly asked my dad, "Do you really think I'm abnormal?" Dad said, "What nonsense. You're just under too much pressure, don't think too much. Let the doctor check it out then, it's no big deal." If I wasn't sick, would I have to apologize to Mr. and Ms. Ngungbang? That's of course. Dad smiled at me. I'll go with you to apologize. When my mother is not at home, my father and I live quite comfortably, without having to worry all day about doing something wrong and being scolded. But this comfort is like the last meal before execution. When it came time to calculate everything, we couldn't be happy. On the 7th day, the clinic opened. Dad took me to the hospital for the first time to have a psychological checkup. I thought we would go to the psychology department, but the consultation desk told us to register at the psychiatric department. Looking at the 3 words psychiatric department on the registration form, I felt even more sick. This Tet, not many people come to the psychiatric department. When we arrived, the doctor was examining the patient. The clinic was very bustling, with occasional sobbing and scolding sounds, which made my heart a mess. The last person is younger than me. The girl's eyes were red and swollen, and her parents pulled her out of the clinic. The girl's father looked very ferocious and kept stabbing her in the head with his finger. Do I cut off your food or water? All day long I just think about useless things, to the point that I become depressed. It's really free time and impulsiveness. Do you know how expensive each consultation is? This damn girl won't let me live a happy day. Anyway, you're not good at anything. There's no need to go to school anymore. Go out and work. The girl's mother saw me and her father both looking at them and extended her hand a little. If it's not appropriate, It's not appropriate for me to raise my hand. If there's something wrong, go home and tell me. The man shouted and waved his hands. What house is so bad? Is that a house that won't let you live? A babysitter's house. You don't need to worry about other things. Yet you let your child be considered mentally ill. You too, go away. I don't want to see you guys anymore. Taking large steps out of the house, the wife was beaten but did not dare to say anything. The wife was not happy. She kept seeing the girl stand up. A dissatisfied expression appeared on her face. The girl was not surprised and silently followed them. This scene made me hear this man cursing someone like my mother. My mother usually hates me very much. If I am diagnosed with an illness, will she directly abandon me? But this opportunity to divorce my father. I think of the time she definitely left home when I was in 6th grade. Don't even look at me. I was so scared I couldn't stand it. In the story of Mr. Don Quatch and the snake, in the story of the farmer and the snake, that guy is the type who repays kindness with evil. If I could do it again, I wouldn't have said the same thing. She sat across from us. Dad asked her to choose. She did. Dad knew we hadn't chosen yet, so she helped us choose too. Waiting for the waiter to leave, his father shyly said, "NGG bang. This time I'm really sorry." Kyung Gwyn admitted that he lied. "It's because I didn't raise him well. I'm really sorry." Dad bowed his head. I also bowed my head. "Miss Ngung bang, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. I won't do that again. This time has had a bad influence on you, and also ruined your and my brother's wedding. I'm really sorry. Please give me a chance to make it right." Bok Ningbang said, "Okay, I accept your apology." Even though her previous relationship showed that she wouldn't normally let this go, she didn't expect her to be so willing. I immediately raised my head and looked at her with expectation. "NNG Bing, my brother is sick. Only mom is taking care of him. Dad and I want to go, but we're afraid she'll be angry. If you go, tell her to remarry. She'll definitely be happy." Bok Ningbing said again, "Impossible." My father and I were both stunned. Dad asked, "Isn't the misunderstanding resolved now? You and Tu Han have such a good relationship." Bok Ningbang's voice was calm, like she was talking to someone else. "Because yesterday, Han broke up with me, my hands and feet were cold. The napkins have arrived." Bok Ningbang saw that we were fine. Her eyes showed no intention of moving. She just muttered, "We broke up not only because of Kyung Gwyn. There were also some other reasons. Have you eaten yet?" After finishing speaking, she picked up the fork and expertly cut the meat, but my father and I had all kinds of emotions in our hearts. "How can I swallow it?" Bok Ningbang finished cutting her steak and handed the plate to me. I looked at the plate, tears falling drop by drop, gently brushing the table. Even though she's turned away, she's still so thoughtful. As for me, I was cowardly and shameless, separating my brother and her. I even intentionally broke the necklace she gave my mother. Dad took out the jade bracelet and placed it on the table. "As for this, we can't accept it. It's too precious. Now that you and Tu Han have broken up, the other gifts you gave your family will also be returned." Bok Ningbang said, "There's no need, uncle. Once a gift is given, there's no reason to take it back. Even though Fuang Han and I broke up, at that time I really considered everyone as family. Please respect my heart." At that time, this sentence hurt me more than my mother's scolding. Dad said, "But let's not bother her eating anymore." Bok Ningbang finished eating, put down her fork, then said, "This ends here. If there is nothing else, I will go first." She stood up, walked over to me, and put the bracelet back on my arm. "It suits you very well." Then, she let go of my hand. My father nodded slightly. "Goodbye, uncle." She left without looking back. In addition to the bracelet on the wrist is a wooden bracelet, dim light spreading under the light. My dad and I didn't eat much, so we walked out of the restaurant gloomily. From here to my brother's house, there is only one trip. Dad bought some fruit and snacks to visit. Coming downstairs, I was afraid of seeing him arguing with his mother, so I didn't dare go up. Dad told me to wait downstairs for a while. Then he came down with a sad look on his face. I asked, "How is your brother?" Dad said, "If you can't see your mother, you won't even let me in the door. Your belongings will be thrown out, but I've already left them at the door. Come another day." I asked worriedly, "Mom and Dad won't get divorced, will they?" Dad replied, "Not going to happen. We've lived our whole lives together. Tomorrow you start school. Don't worry about these things anymore. Don't let it affect your studies." Even though I said that, an idea came to my mind. We must let my brother and Bok Ning Bing make up. Although Bok Ning Bing was very generous to me, they broke up because of me. I can't just apologize and pretend nothing happened. As soon as we got home, we met Taham Mat at the door, who was about to ring the doorbell. When Taham Mat just saw us, "Lo Fu Uncle, Happy New Year." Dad quickly opened the door to let her in. "Why are you so late?" "I came to give everyone gifts." Taham Mat followed inside. "This morning, we just came back and slept in until now. What else?" Dad said Tu Han was sick. She wanted to take care of him. "Mr. Han's illness is not serious, right?" "It's not serious. I have a cold." Dad looked at Taham Mat's items on the table, big bags and small bags, a bit confused. "Why did you buy so many things? Isn't this the first time?" "Bought all sorts of miscellaneous things, food, toys." Having said that, she turned her head to look at me without saying a word. Seeing me, she was excited. "No." My mother tried to smile. Yes, she was excited. "You came back without telling me. Didn't you want to give me a surprise? Why hurry up and see if you like it? If you don't like it, you can change it." Taham Mat's smile was very comfortable, but my heart was extremely bitter. If I hadn't done that stupid thing, she wouldn't know how happy she would be right now. Taham Mat is not stupid. He looked at me and my father with even more gloomy faces. Mom wasn't home either, so she also guessed that my family would be in trouble this year. She took the knife. "Hungry, want to eat late." Let my dad go into the kitchen, then pull me back into the room and ask quietly. I didn't say what I did. I just said Bok Ning Bang and my brother broke up. Taham Mat said, "Oh, so that's it." I also saw that they had just quarreled. Half a year of being engaged is too hasty. You guys still don't know clearly about Bok Ning Bang's family, right? That's good. A little slower to understand each other better. If they are truly destined to be together in the future, they will definitely be together again. She spoke very rationally, giving me hope. Can we really still be together? The most important thing is still up to them, judging on the amount of flavor tax. Rate me. I feel like my parents want a divorce. Taham Mat was surprised. Why? I told you before, on the first day, we had to meet Bok Ning Bing's family, but that day I argued with my mother, so I didn't go. My father didn't go because he took care of me. Then my brother's engagement was canceled. My mother was very angry and brought her luggage to my brother's house and said that if my brother couldn't get engaged to Bok Ning Bang, she would divorce my father. It's all my fault. Taham Mat consoled. Don't take everything into yourself. Maybe the breakup was because of Han Xie. There were already problems between the two of you. It was just a coincidence that you guys quarreled. Furthermore, which couple has never talked about divorce? My parents were also like that when they argued. I don't really believe it. Your family is a fairy family and you still quarrel? Taham Mat asserted. That's right. Every family doesn't quarrel when living together. Don't worry about the scenery. Don't worry anymore. Your father has a good temper, so there won't be a divorce. I smell something delicious. The rice is done. Let's go out to eat something. Even though the current situation hasn't changed, her words made my mood much better. The three of us hadn't eaten anything that evening. Dad took a gift from Ta's parents to make a late-night meal. If you don't want to eat it, you can reheat it for breakfast tomorrow morning. Taham Mat had enough to eat and drink. Before leaving, my father gave her 2 red envelopes. She also politely accepted. After receiving it, she walked away and wished her luck. We cleaned up the dishes and went into the living room to open the gifts she brought home. When I opened the bag, I saw that inside, Ta's father and Ta's mother sent me 2 red envelopes. Dad took out the envelope, smiled bitterly inside. Oh, this house is really... I looked at the envelope, as if I could see the gentleness and kindness of Ta's parents. If they knew I had done something wrong, would they still be as nice to me? At that time, why was I so haunted that I had to decide to do it? Blaming yourself is useless. You must find a way to make up for your mistakes. Tomorrow is the first day of school. I still live in the dormitory. Dad was packing my things in the room. I quietly went to the living room to get his phone and unlocked it. I found Bok Ning Bang's phone number and remembered it, then put the phone back in its place. My brother, although not showy, is a very resilient person. Because he was the one who suggested breaking up with Bok Ning Bang first. Even if it was for the sake of dignity, he wouldn't go back. I won't let them miss each other like that. By the time I went to school, my mother still hadn't come home. I texted my brother to tell him I was sorry and worried about his illness. My brother didn't answer me. Such a calm person made me so angry. I'm actually a little lucky because I'm still in school, and can go to school to escape for a while. On the first day of school, there was no schedule, it was all self-study. But after all, it's grade 12. During this self-study session in the morning, everyone was still talking and laughing, and in the afternoon, everyone was quietly writing. After finishing school, in the evening, I went back to the dormitory and lay down on the bed. A whole day of self-study has left me exhausted, and at this moment, I don't even want to move a finger. Several roommates came back one after another, saw me and asked, "Phuong Nguyen, did Taham Mat bring anything back for you when he went abroad?" Taham Mat buys gifts for all his friends and acquaintances, mainly local tourist souvenirs. The gifts she gave me and the gifts she gave them are of course not on the same level. Last night, unwrapping the gifts, in addition to souvenirs like they had, there were also all kinds of snacks and chocolate candies. Miss Fin Thursday, I don't know if it was because we hadn't seen her for a long time. She gave me an LV wallet, but I can't tell the truth. It seems like she's showing off to them. I immediately stood up and said vaguely, "Just like yours." A roommate laughed and patted me. "How can they be the same? With your relationship, she must have bought you a lot of cool things." I laughed with them. "Just a little more snacks than you guys." A few snacks. Today, he received a small decoration from the White House. As soon as he received it, he was so happy and loved it that he didn't want to let it go. Because what other people received were commemorative medals and things like keychains. But then, he discovered that another person, a male student, also received this decoration. He immediately threw the decoration into the drawer, unhappy all day. I'm also not in the mood to comfort him. Lying down again, I even thought that I had made a wrong connection to the two of them before. Taham Mat doesn't have any feelings for him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have left him at the cinema, bought him the same thing as someone else's. As for Lai Hoa Phuong, they don't try to compete, they want me to create opportunities for them. Although I agreed, I was not happy. I am a selfish person, Taham Mat is a good friend. Most of all, I don't want to give her to anyone. I won't ask who is more important, me or your boyfriend. Once she has a boyfriend, I will tactfully keep a distance from her, not letting them feel awkward. But if she leaves her boyfriend to be with me, I will be very happy. Taham Mat thought of the Ta family and unconsciously remembered his sick mother and brother. The mood becomes heavy. How can it be missed? I send my regards to my brother. Even when the lights turned off, I couldn't wait for a response. If you don't reply, that's fine. If you don't reply, I'll still send it. Making mistakes requires an attitude of admitting mistakes. Wait until his health is better and his mood is more stable. I will come and be scolded. Now when I go there, my mother only changes me out. When I talk about my mother, I can't help but think of Tien Nu's necklace. Dad said all the seeds had been picked up. Take it to a jewelry store today to have the wire rewormed. I don't know if it's deep or not. I mindlessly scrolled through my phone and prepared to go to sleep. A dialog box suddenly popped up. I am Bok Ning Bang. I covered my mouth with my hand and sat up. Yesterday, I secretly memorized her number, found her social media account, and sent a friend request. She didn't pay any attention to me. I thought she probably hated me and didn't want to see me anymore. Unexpectedly, today she accepted my friend request. It seems like she still has feelings for my brother. So great. The two had feelings and there was a conflict. As long as one side is humble, the other side cannot stay angry for long. From childhood to adulthood, my brother always had people pursuing him. The only person he brought home was Bok Ning Bang. Although he didn't say it out loud, he was very satisfied with Bok Ning Bang. Because they broke up because I caused trouble, I have to create a chance for them to come back no matter what. Just in time for the university entrance exam. If my brother hates me, I will take the exam to a faraway school so they won't see. If the brother is better, the mother will also be better and will no longer argue with the father to ask for a divorce. As long as I'm not in this house, everything will be perfect. At this moment, facing Bok Ning Bang's voice box, I was so nervous that my hands were shaking. Timidly, I typed out a sentence. "Miss Ngung Bang, aren't you sleeping yet?" She answered quickly. "Because of work?" So I typed, "You really worked hard." I felt this was an innocuous sentence, so I deleted it and sent a bolder sentence instead. "Can you make up with my brother?" Sent this, she didn't reply. I hastily explained. "It's all my fault. I shouldn't be so mean. But I really don't want you and your brother to break up. My brother is very happy to be with you, but my brother is sick now and doesn't care about me. I can only tell you. Sister Ningbing, Can you go find my brother? After sending this message, I anxiously waited for a response. What if she blocks me? Luckily, she didn't. The answer was, good, see him for a while, and then go to sleep. She agreed. I happily kicked my feet under the blanket, from the bed onto a compressed pillow. What time is it? Should I let someone else sleep? Sorry. I hugged my pillow tightly, gave it a kiss, and rolled over. Since the first day of Tet, I have been tormented by guilt and have been unable to sleep. Today, I can finally sleep peacefully. Real people cannot do things against their conscience. In the next few days, every night, I found something to talk to Bok Ning Bang. Find out how much she and my brother have recovered. Bok Ning Bang also asked, I answered. She went to visit my brother. My mother let her into the house, but my brother still didn't see her. I said maybe my brother was still angry. Someday, he and I will go to his house to apologize in person. Wait until he's in a better mood, then go. You should rest early. So should I. Sleep well. Bok Ning Bang put down the phone. I sighed. Even though I have dignity, what's the point of losing face in front of my family? As long as we can reunite, even if I have to kneel down and apologize, I will accept it. After finishing the self-study session, on Saturday, I put on my backpack and prepared to go home. Just 2 weeks ago, Taham Mat also returned. We go together. On the way, Taham Mat asked, Phuong Nguyen, have you thought carefully about which university you want to go to? I said, if you pass the exam, go to that school. Being able to be with you is the best. What about you? Is it still Imperial Capital University of Justice? Taham Mat said, don't you want to be a lawyer? Imperial College of Justice is a prestigious school for training lawyers. If you don't take the entrance exam, where will you enter? She asked, after a short while of talking and walking. At this time, a car stopped in front of us. Before I could react, Taham Mat noticed it first. Isn't this Taham Mat's girlfriend's car? I said, how is that possible? The car window rolled down. I turned my head to look. Wow, that's true. Bok Ning Bang nodded at the two of us and said, we both have something to do to find good friends. It's definitely our brother's job. That's for sure. I opened the door, sat in the passenger seat, and waved to Taham Mat. You go home first. If I have time tomorrow, I will come to your house. Taham Mat frowned. It's late. What's going on? Are you going home, or where are you going? I will tell my dad. Don't worry. Phuong Nguyen. Before Taham Mat could finish his sentence, Bok Ning Bang opened the car door and drove away. The ice hasn't been served yet. Just prepare some food in the refrigerator. She quickly finished cooking. I bowed my head to eat. I thought she would ask about my brother during dinner, but throughout the meal, she didn't say a word. She told me to wash the dishes, then gave me the dishes and took a can of drink out to drink herself. After I finished washing the dishes, I turned around and discovered that she had come to the kitchen door at some point, silently looking at me without saying a word. I was startled and forced a forced smile. Ms. Bok Ning Bang glanced briefly. Initially close to her, the last meal was not the last. She doesn't want to talk about the food. She cooks it very blandly. I don't like to eat at all. Seeing me tense, she squeezed the empty can in her hand, threw it into the trash next to me, then turned around and said, I'm ready to go home. I said, you're back already? Aren't you going to discuss your brother's business? She didn't say a word about her brother, bringing me here just to have a late-night meal. Maybe she was going to talk to me about her brother's matter, but when she saw me, she lost interest. I won't ask anymore, it's all my fault. I just vaguely went out, then vaguely returned home. When we got home, Dad asked what we said. I said don't say anything. He doesn't believe it. The things you guys say, even Dad can't know? I said I really didn't say anything, just had a late-night meal. Tomorrow he will go visit Tuham. Please come along too. My brother has been sick for a week and still hasn't recovered. My mother also let him stay at home without going to see a doctor. This time we go there, we have to take Tuham to see a doctor. We can't let a small illness become a big one. Yes, Dad. I'm afraid Mom's necklace has been repaired yet. It's fixed, I said. Let's see if we should bring it over to Mom tomorrow. I also want to apologize to her, which is fine. Whatever she says at that time, don't argue back. Anyway, this time, I know I won't argue. It's okay if she scolds or hits you, but if she does too much, you have to stop her. Dad patted my head. Okay, I won't let her hit you. Really, I really doubted my father's words. Even though my dad was quite protective of me, every time my mom hit me, he couldn't stop me. Just like on the first day, My mother beat me until I cried. He just watched from the side. I remember another danger. Dad, you won't lend me an ant money, will you? Dad immediately avoided my gaze and said with some hesitation, they need it so urgently, so I already lent it. How much loan? The eyes of the 3 villages were avoided. 20,000 per family. Will you write a debt note? They're all siblings. Why would they write a debt note? I took a cold breath. Okay, lend them 40,000 VND without writing a debt note. It's considered a total loss. Mom was already angry with me and was also worried about my brother. Then let her know that Dad lent money to relatives. My mother was miserable. On Tet, no one in the family made her feel comfortable. I started to feel sorry for my mother. The next morning, Dad went to buy vegetables, flowers, and fruit, and took me to visit my brother. A few days ago, when I was at school, my dad went to my brother's house every day. Mom didn't let Dad in at first, but she wasn't a good cook and it wasn't good for her brother to be sick, and she ate food from outside every day. So Mom let Dad come in and cook. Today my mother opened the door and saw me coming too. Mother's face darkened. Why did you come here? I forced myself into the door, my face full of flattery. Mom, where's my brother? Mom looked at me with eyes like knives. Dad pulled me before reluctantly saying, in the room, alternately, lying in the room. I quickly went into my brother's room. Feeling under my mother's eyelids for one more second, she would slap me. The bedroom had no lock. As soon as I pushed the door open, there was a stifling hot air. Not clean, straight to the face. My brother turned his back to me, lying on the bed playing on the phone, his whole body curled up in the blanket. The table was cluttered, unpackaged medicine was on the floor, there were used wipes everywhere. The trash was overflowing, but no one emptied it. Seeing my brother, who was always neat, turned out like this, I regretted it so much that my heart turned blue. I stood by the bed and softly called him. You, my brother didn't say anything. Your finger unconsciously traced the screen again. I asked, how is your health? If you're not well, let Dad take you to the hospital, okay? My brother still doesn't pay attention to me. Brother, I'm sorry. Hit me or scold me. If you're angry, let me bear it. Don't torture yourself like that. I pushed his shoulder, my nose started to sting. I really know I'm wrong. Don't ignore me. His brother suddenly let out a light laugh. I was stunned. He sat up, turned his head to look at me, his eye sockets deeper with fatigue. The eyes look especially large. Pony's little leg. Are you and I at odds with each other? I shook my head vigorously, tears flowing down my eyes. Kai, are you asking me if I have done anything wrong to you? Never. Do you like Bokning Bang? I no longer have any face. It's not like that. My brother put his face close to me and asked gently, so why did you hurt me? I didn't dare look him straight in the eyes. I just bowed my head and cried. I'm sorry. I just said it to make my mother angry. I really regret it. My brother laughed again. His smile gave me chills. Suddenly stopped crying. The brother said, cry. Why don't you cry anymore? Isn't this your forte? When you say that, I really can't cry anymore. I sincerely came to apologize. If he openly scolded me, I could bear it. But you say it so sarcastically, I can't stand it. It's like I'm a scheming person, deliberately pretending to be pitiful. I wiped the tears from my face, stood up straight and asked him, what does that mean? My brother tilted his head and looked at me. You also cried in front of Bok Ning Bang, apologizing to her like this, right? She must have forgiven you, right? I know my island well. I'm very sorry. Haha this. My brother laughed again. To make Mom angry, you came up with such a reason. She touched and kissed you. Why didn't you say she slept with you? This makes me angry. You don't believe me, but you should believe Ngong Bang. Just because of one sentence from me, your engagement was canceled. I see that your feelings are not very deep. After saying this, I want to bite my tongue. Didn't I come to apologize? What is this attitude? If your brother wants to scold you, let him scold you. Oh, a few scoldings won't cost you any meat. The brother bowed his head and continued to scroll through his phone. Having said that, I still have to thank you. You tested our feelings with just one sentence. You are my great benefactor. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Ms. Ning Bing wants to make up with you. She cares about you very much. I heard you were sick. Didn't she come to visit you? Why didn't you see her? My brother's fingers didn't stop. It turns out that I heard you say she just arrived. Your relationship is really good. He seemed to confirm that Bok Ning Bang and I had something shady going on. Every sentence is laced with mockery. Of course, Ms. Ning Bang also gets along very well with her parents, not only with me. Moreover, she is good to me, and because she likes you, I am your younger brother. Without raising his head, my brother suddenly asked a question. Where is that jade bracelet? Hearing that, I instinctively felt like I couldn't tell the truth. Sorry, I gave it back to her. My brother put down his phone and stared at me. When you gave it back to her, did she say anything? Didn't say anything. My dad and I went to return it. We said it was too expensive, so we couldn't accept it. She took it back. My brother's expression softened somewhat. Really? That's right. So it seems like there's a problem with that bracelet. I have to quickly return it to Bok Ning Bing. I also have to remind my father not to talk nonsense. His brother no longer fought as fiercely as before. Stand up, say you want to take a shower. Hearing this sentence, I was really touched and wanted to cry immediately. Dedicatedly found a change of clothes for him and sent him to the bathroom door. Clean your room again while you shower. Mom too. My brother is sick, but my mother is okay. Is it okay to leave my brother's room this messy? No cleaning, no laundry, no cooking. When my parents saw their brother coming out, they all seemed satisfied. Mom also no longer looked at me unpleasantly. Even though I'm as busy as a dog, my heart is full of joy. The family finally feels like a family again. Angry brother is really scary. I don't dare to anger him anymore. By the time my brother finished bathing, my father had already finished making breakfast. After the first tet, the whole family sat down to eat together. Although the atmosphere was still a bit tense. Fortunately, my brother asked and answered questions with his parents, but he still ignored me. After the meal, my mother urged my brother to take medicine, and my father and I went to clean the kitchen. I whispered to my father, Dad, if I ask you about the jade bracelet, please say that you have returned it to Ms. Ngung Bang. Dad asked why. Don't worry. Anyway, absolutely don't let me know that the bracelet is still with you. I'll return it this afternoon and look for her. Dad frowned. Tung Nguyen, you still shouldn't contact Bok Ning Bang too much. I replied, I'm mentally tough. Or let Dad pay for it for you. Okay, when I get home, I will give the bracelet to my parents. He came out of his room, saw us whispering loudly, so he walked in and asked again, What are you whispering about? My father is not good at dealing with sudden situations, so he immediately stopped. I smiled brightly. No, it's nothing. I just want to know when Mom will come home. At this point, my father caught up. Yes. When will Mom come home? Anyway, Tu Ham is still on sick leave, so why don't you take him home with you? The kitchen here is too small, so when I get home, I can cook him some nutritious food. Mother said, Go home. Mom reached out to Dad. Where's my necklace? Dad wiped his hands and took out the jewelry box from his pocket. Mom took out the necklace and looked at it with satisfaction. At the same time, he glanced at me. I obediently bowed my head. Mom, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have pulled your necklace. I don't dare anymore. Mom turned to look for a mirror. My dad and I looked at each other and breathed a sigh of relief. It's good. I didn't get beaten or scolded. After Mother put on the necklace, the naked eye could see that her spirit had recovered. Walking back and forth in the house, cheerful voice, picky about this, picky about that. Having nothing to say, he picked me up and scolded me a few times. Dad said, Mom, keep quiet. Don't rush to wear the necklace. Otherwise your brother will remember the sad story when he sees it. Mother's mouth said, You're the only one who cares so much. But Mom still took off the necklace. After being busy cooking, his parents advised his brother to go home. His brother refused. My feeling is much better. I still have to go to work tomorrow. I'll just stay home and rest today. Don't worry. Mom said, Why are you in such a hurry to go to work? Please take a few more days off to recuperate and then continue talking. Dad wanted to give advice, but was scolded. Don't be a good person forever. He will never remember for long. You have to be constantly reminded to work hard. The university entrance exam is a lifelong thing. If you don't worry now, when will you worry? If you don't get into a good university, you won't be able to find a good job in the future. At that time, let's not talk about keeping him. He'll have to go back to being a freeloader. The level of importance wouldn't be told to my brother, so I told her about the wedding house and the jade bracelet. Thinking about it, I even mentioned the real reason why my family quarreled during Tet. She cares so much about me, it's really annoying if I hide something from her. She watched all my confession. I started to feel uneasy. Am I being a little complacent today? Even though my mother and brother both forgave me, Matt was probably the first time he saw such an ugly side of me. She won't hate me and cut ties with me from now on, will she? Matt never answered me. I was worried and nervous. After buying food and going home, I told my parents downstairs. After Matt returned, I still haven't been to her house once. Can your parents go visit Uncle Ta and Aunt? Dad said. Let's wait until we go together later. They gave us a lot of things. I haven't had time to give a gift in return yet. Mom asked, what gift? Dad said, there's a lot. Go home and see and you'll know. Mom was clearly very interested but pretended not to care and said, there's nothing worth seeing. It's definitely all cheap stuff. I'm the tongue behind my mother's back. I really don't know where she got such a big rivalry with the Ta family. Ta's parents treat me very well. They are also always friendly with my family. After all, what else is there to be dissatisfied with? After returning home, my mother ran straight to the pile of gifts and rummaged for a while. Not to mention that people bought cheap things. They also chewed on the nuts they gave them, which was a gift from Bok Ning Bang when he came to see his parents on Christmas. There are still many unopened items. Dad has already estimated the rough value. If there is a disagreement in the future, just return the money and that's it. You can't return the items, just keep them and consume them yourself. You want to pick up a few boxes of good stuff. Mom is checking next door. Why are there 2 bottles of wine missing? Well, there are also 2 boxes missing. Oh, the premium food package is also gone. She grabbed her father's sleeve. That's great. You took the gift my daughter-in-law gave to your family members. What kind of misshapen fruit or rotten fish did they give you? Dirty shrimp? Surely there won't be a single melon seed this year, right? Oh, that's right. She understood her father's family so well. And this year those 2 families not only did not return the favor, but also took 40.00 VND from Dad. Father hesitated to defend them. Mother angrily began to beat him. Shut up. In what year did we not have to spend money to visit them? As soon as they left, they were like gods of wealth giving money and gifts right away. What about those 2 families? If Tu Han hadn't gone, she wouldn't have given Tu Nguyen a red envelope, nor had she ever seen a red bill. One year they even said to learn from Cantonese. Each family only had 1 envelope. If you don't want to receive money, don't take it from us. You're stingy to the point of becoming a star, really. Great. No wonder no one wants to marry them. Seeing that the situation was not good, I quickly hid in my room. Oh, sorry, Dad. I can't share the pressure with you due to selfish reasons. Mom scolded her to release her anger. Tell Dad to choose a few good gifts to bring to Ta's house, saying that she is not like her eldest sister, the sister-in-law who likes to take advantage of Dad. Call me at the door with the good stuff. I went out to see that he had a normal face. Secretly admiring in my heart, as expected of a father, being scolded but as if nothing happened, thick skin and thick flesh.